and Zoning Commission in the town of New Canaan, Connecticut. Today is Tuesday, June 23rd. We have a number of items on the agenda, not a huge list, but some important ones to discuss. I'll take attendance first. Dan Radman here, Krista Nielsen.
Here.
John Kriz.
Here.
Chris Herring. Here. John Engel. Here. Christina Larson. She's out.
She's out.
Okay. Alan Swernlow. Here. Tom Benton.
Absent for now.
He's absent.
Yep.
Eric Knowles. Here. Megan Mensch.
Here.
Bill Pratt. Here. And George Daniels. Here. Here. How do you say your last name again? Daniolis. Yep.
Right.
Welcome, my friend. Good evening. How are you? So first item on the discussion here, public hearing, as well as the possible action on the text amendment. We have a few different text amendments that we're trying to institute today that affect the business zone. This is all in anticipation of the July 1st deadline by the state.
Is your mic on?
Oh, it's not. Thank you. So we have a number of items to discuss. Sarah, do you want to, how do you want to go about it with the detailed descriptions of each one?
Yeah, so I will share my screen momentarily, and then Frank Fish with BFJ is just going to quickly run through an explanation of them, and then commission can ask questions of us, and then I would do ask for public comment, and then we'll go from there.
Sounds good. Mr. Fish, you want to take away?
Gonna share a screen.
Yep.
Or
It's going up now.
Microphone.
Sarah's gonna share is the same that's on your.
Could you just put your mic on?
Great. What Sarah is sharing now is the same that is your printed agenda. So I'll just speak for that here. You got text amendments, and there's 4 text amendments. A and B on item 1 there on the text amendments for the hearing this evening. They're both related. Same amendment for the retail zone and the business zone. And as you know, this was an anomaly from the state law, that the state law, when it dealt with parking, it said, how to control things under 16 units and then how to control things over 16 units, but did not address 16 units itself. Our understanding is, or my understanding is this, the state will try to correct that by October 1. But in the meantime, what this says is that basically a development application of exactly 16 units would be prohibited until the state clarifies how that parking ratio works. So that's and then if they do it by October 1, we're talking about, it would be 4 months. It's sort of a short time frame. So that's what those both A and B are about. And then C is creation of some height exceptions for structures in the business zone. And it's really just to better accommodate buildings that are on sloping properties. It will not affect it does affect height, how it's measured. So height could go to 40 feet or 35 feet, but it does not affect the other area and bulk standards, and it does not affect your height from the curb. It's really to account for sites that slope back from the curb. So it's a minor correction that's been suggested. I think we all had felt, and you had felt, that it was one that was worth considering. And then the item D is just, again, a very small correction that you all are familiar with, and that is on minimum amount of parking and loading facilities. If you come up with, say, 1.4 parking spaces are needed, how many parking spaces are needed. You got to round off. So what the law says here is if it's less than 0.5, less than half a space, you round down to the lowest. So it's 1.4, you'd round down to 1. However, 5.5 as a fraction and above, you would round up. So if it were 0.6 parking spaces, you would go up to the full next number. So that's all that does. So I think A, B, and D are pretty straightforward, de minimis kind of changes that make some sense, and height exception, which I think was done to really make steep slopes a little bit better in terms of how they function, a building functions. So those are the items on your agenda for the public hearing on the text amendments. So with that, I'll turn it back to Sarah.
Yeah, so I'll just add with the height exception, because I think that was the most complicated regulation to craft. For the commission, I just want to make sure everyone's comfortable with this language, and it was requested that we look into how many sites we felt would potentially be able to utilize this regulation. Our staff's estimate is essentially that whole side of Pine Street, so 70 Pine Street, 58 Pine Street, where Walgreens is, that whole side of the street could likely utilize that. And then we also found that across the train tracks on Elm Street, where 208 Elm is, 212 Elm is, where the Bankwell building is, that if there was redevelopment there, they could likely utilize that regulation as well. And potentially the corner of Locust and Cherry Street, where there's currently an office building with a parking garage, and then there's on Cherry Street, I think there's like a hair salon and like a brick building. That corner could potentially utilize it as well.
4.5 B2. Sorry, I'm just jumping to get to it. Okay. That the language that you have highlighted and read up on the screen is the same that's in the final draft that's online.
Correct, yes.
Okay. Pre-existing average grade. Okay. Commissioners, any questions on these? I think they're pretty straightforward.
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Mr. Fish, anything further to add on these particular items?
No, I think we're set on them.
So we've got the uses issue 42D2 and 43D2 for retail and business. We've got the height exception for structures in the business zone, and then the minimum number, the rounding up of the number for the parking side, correct?
Correct.
Do we have, if there's no further comments from the commissioners, do we have anyone in the public that would like to speak to this text amendment? That's a no.
Anyone on Zoom? I'm guessing no.
Guess not. Okay, so do we run right into voting on this? Because we have the text amendment vote or the deliberation and discussion as the very next item, so.
Yeah, so unless there are any,
Yes, you closed the hearing.
yeah, I was just gonna say before you close the hearing, I just want a final call, no substantial, like we can wordsmith outside of the public hearing, but if anyone wants to, you know, change the building height exception to 50 feet or knock it down to something else, that sort of thing, we should talk about it while the public hearing's open.
No, I'm good with it. Commissioners, just make sure you've read it. This is section 4.5 B2, page 14 of 15 in the PDF of the commercial zone final draft. In business zone, total building height may be increased to 40 feet and building height may be increased to 35 feet when measured from pre-existing average grade, provided total building height and building height measured from finished average grade
along all front street-facing walls comply with the height requirements listed in table section 4.4.a. Correct? Okay. Anything further, commissioners? We're good. So do I have a motion on these text amendments?
So I just want to highlight a couple of typos that were found from when the
Sure.
final drafts were posted on the website. They've been edited in my drafts for adoption, but just so it's clear on the record. So on the agenda for the substantial change to section for the parking rounding, it inadvertently says 6.2.b point 1, and we're referring to section 6.2.c.1. So I just want that to be clear. And then in the substantial change to prohibit 16-unit developments in the business zone, it accidentally said in the retail zone. So that was clarified to say 16-unit developments are prohibited in the business zone. And then in the inclusionary zoning section, in specifically section 7.6C.6.A, there was supposed to be a section that described how to calculate allowable density without the density bonus. And we inadvertently just had 2 sections to describe how to calculate density with the density bonus. So that has been clarified to reflect what was previously in the regulations.
Okay.
And then in front of all the commissioners are motions that can be utilized for approval for each section of the regulations, just in the event people have edits to specific sections of the regs that reference various parts of the POCD and other areas, can be used if desired.
So do we have to move and make a motion for each one of them?
If commissioners are making changes, any changes to specific sections, I would recommend it. Just for clarity in the record and in the future when people go back to reference things.
Okay.
We definitely need separate votes on the changes to the zoning map than the text change, but if someone wants to try to combine all the text amendment motions, they can.
So where do we need to start?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you start with closing the public hearing?
Yep,
We need to close the public hearing.
if we didn't already.
No. Public hearing is closed. So should we go through your approval motions in order? Is that the best option?
I think so.
We can just go through it that way.
You can make a motion to approve all the text amendments.
Yep.
I'll leave it open for comment, but everything's been thoroughly vetted after 16 months of this,
Mhm.
or 12 months of this, whatever it is.
So what are you making that motion?
I'm gonna wait unless there's any, speak now or forever hold your peace comments.
Can we do this in toto, or we have to state each one individually? What's best?
I think for clarity in the future, if people are trying to look back and understand what was voted on, individually doing it is easier for the record.
All right.
Required.
That's fine. Why don't we go through it? I mean, there's 7 of them, so let's go through each one. We'll call for a motion on each one. We'll read it and then we'll vote on it.
You have to read the text change,
No, I mean, you can just read
read the,
the motion. It refers to a document that contains the text.
I'll start off, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the proposed text amendments for section 2.2 defined terms with an effective date of July 1, 2006, a copy of which can currently be found on the town's website under the file, quote, new or amended definitions, final 06 spot 23 spot 26, close quote. These changes are consistent with the zoning regulation update subcommittee's goal to clarify inconsistencies, unclear language, and outdated requirements in regulations.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Who is seated?
Oh. Well, we've got, 1, 2, 3. Procedure. Yep, Tom's here. 5, 6, 7. So we need 2 more. We'll seat Megan and Bill. Total of 9. Okay. We have a second from Mr. Knowles. Call to vote. Dan Radman, I vote yes. Krista Nielsen,
Yes.
John Chris,
Yes.
and John Engel. Alan Swerdlow.
Yes.
Tom Benton.
Yes.
Eric Knowles.
Yes.
Megan Menching.
Yes.
And Bill Pratt.
Yes.
So section 2.2 is approved. Do I have a motion on Article 4, commercial zones?
Yes.
I move that we approve the proposed text amendments for all sections of Article 4, commercial zones, with an effective date of July 1st, 2026, a copy of which can currently be found on the town's website under the file Commercial Districts Final June 23rd, 26. These changes are consistent with the Town of New Canaan's 2024 Plan of Conservation and Development, specifically action steps 1.3.1.b, 1.3.1.c, 2.2.2.c, and 2.2.2.d. In addition, these changes are consistent with the Zoning Reg Update Subcommittee's goals of evaluating all aspects of the business zone regulations to ensure desired outcomes are achieved and updating what triggers commission review to lower their caseload.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any deliberation or comments on this? Okay, call to vote. This is for Article 4, commercial zones. Dan Radman, I vote yes. Krista Nielsen,
Yes.
John Chris,
Yes.
John Engel,
Yes.
Alan Swerdlow,
Yes.
Tom Benton,
Yes.
Eric Knowles,
Yes.
Megan Menching,
Yes.
and Bill Pratt.
Yes.
Thank you. Next section is section 5.11, Conservation and Traffic Mitigation District. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I move that we approve the creation of section 5.11, which establishes a new conservation and traffic mitigation overlay zone with an effective date of July 1, 2026, a copy of which can currently be found on the town's website under the file Conservation and Traffic Mitigation District Final 06.23.26. The establishment of this zone is in accordance with the new powers granted to the Planning and Zoning Commission related to Public Act 25-1 and is consistent with the 2024 POCD's overarching themes of promoting creative but balanced development and preserving New Canaan's small town identity.
Do I have a second?
Commissioner Chris seconds.
Any comments or deliberation on this particular item? Seeing there's none, I call to vote for section 511, Conservation and Traffic Mitigation District. Dan Radman, I vote yes. Krista Nielsen,
Yes.
John Chris,
Yes.
John Engel,
Yes.
Alan Swerdlow,
Yes.
Tom Benton,
Yes.
Eric Knowles,
Yes.
Megan Menching,
Yes.
Bill Pratt.
Yes.
That's approved as well. Number 4, section 6.2, parking and loading. Do I have a motion for this item?
I'll make a motion to approve. I move that we approve the proposed text amendment for all sections of Article 4, commercial zones with the effective date of July 1st, 2026. Copy of which can currently be
Sorry, I think
found.
this was a typo. Supposed to say section 6 parking zones. We're just rereading the commercial zones.
The correct name of the file?
Yeah. Moving to approve section 6 parking and loading.
Is it called parking and loading final?
It is called Parking Standards Final.
Parking standards final
Sorry about that.
with the same date, today's date, right?
Yep.
Okay. Want to reread it?
Yeah, parking
Standards final.
standards for- So I move that we approve the proposed text amendment for all sections of Article 4.
It should be all for section 6, parking and loading, not all sections of Article 4.
Oh. Section 6.
Yep. Or sorry, section 6.2.
I move that we approve the proposed text amendment for all sections 6.2, parking and loading, with the effective date of July 1st, 2026, a copy of which can currently be found on the town's website under the file Parking and Standards Final, dated 06/23/26. These changes are consistent with the towns of New Canaan's 2024 Plan of Conservation and Developments, specifically action steps 1.3.4.b. In addition, these changes are consistent with the zoning regulations, update subcommittee goals to clarify inconsistencies, unclear language, outdated requirements and regulations.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Commissioners, any comments or questions on parking and loading, section 6.2? Okay, seeing there's none, call to vote. Dan Radman, I vote yes. Krista Nielsen,
Yes.
John Chris,
Yes.
John Engel,
Yes.
Alan Swerdlow,
Yes.
Tom Benton,
Yes.
Eric Knowles,
Yes.
Megan Menching,
Yes.
Bill Pratt.
Yes.
Fifth item, section 7.6, affordable housing. Do I have a motion on this one?
Commissioner Chris, I'll move.
Okay.
I move that we approve the proposed text amendments for section 7.6, affordable housing, with an effective date of July 1, 2026, a copy of which can currently be found on the town's website under the file Inclusionary Zoning Final 06/23/26. These changes are consistent with the Town of New Canaan's 2024 Plan of Conservation and Development, specifically Goal 2.2, to provide a diverse housing portfolio that supports residents of all circumstances and strategies. 2.2.2 and 2.2.5.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Any comments or questions, commissioners? Okay, seeing as there are none, we'll move to vote. Section 7.6, affordable housing. Dan Radman, I vote yes. Krista Nielsen,
Yes.
John Chris,
Yes.
John Engel,
Yes.
Alan Swerdlow,
Yes.
Tom Benton,
Yes.
Eric Knowles,
Yes.
Megan Menching,
Yes.
Bill Pratt.
Yes.
Okay, that one's approved. Then we have zoning map amendment approvals. The downtown zoning map and the traffic mitigation zone. Do I have a motion on the downtown zoning map?
I move that we approve the proposed downtown zoning map with an effective date of July 1, 2026. A copy depicting said zoning boundaries can currently be found on the town's website under the file proposed downtown zoning map. These changes are consistent with the Town of New Canaan's 2024 Plan of Conservation and Development, suitable for their intended location, and will have no adverse impact in protecting the public health, safety, welfare, or property values.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any comments or questions, commissioners? Seeing as there's none, we'll move to vote. This is for the downtown zoning map. Dan Radman, I vote yes. Krista Nielsen,
Yes.
John Chris,
Yes.
John Engel,
Yes.
Alan Swerdlow,
Yes.
Tom Benton,
Yes.
Eric Knowles,
Yes.
Megan Menching,
Yes.
and Bill Pratt. Yes. Okay, last but not least, the traffic mitigation zone. Do I have a motion on that one?
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
I move that we approve the establishment of one conservation and traffic mitigation district with an effective date of July 1, 2026. A copy depicting said zoning boundaries can currently be found on the town's website under the file Traffic Mitigation Zones 3-19-2026. The establishment of this zone is in accordance with new powers granted to the Planning and Zoning Commission related to Public Act 25-1 and is consistent with the 2024 POCD's overarching themes of promoting creative but balanced development and preserving New Canaan's small town identity.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any comments or questions, commissioners? This is, seeing as there's none, call to vote on traffic mitigation zone. Dan Radman, I vote yes. Krista Nielsen,
Yes.
John Chris,
Yes.
John Engel.
Yes.
Alan Swerdlow.
Yes.
Tom Benton,
Yes.
Eric Knowles,
Yes.
Megan Mention,
Yes.
and Bill Pratt.
Yes.
Okay. All of the text amendments and map changes have been approved
I won.
and go into effect July 1.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, so before we move on to the final deliberation, we just wanted to check in with the commission on their thoughts for when they would like to regroup next for this, next phase of the reg update. We still have, budget left in the contract with BFJ, not to do everything we had been hoping to do, but we still have, some left to work on more drafts and whatnot. So would the commission be open to regrouping at the July meeting? We don't have particularly lengthy agenda at this time. Would you like to regroup in August? Any thoughts?
September.
September's not good for
Are
me.
we,
I know it's not good
we're now moving into discussions on the residential zone?
Yeah, residential zones, apartment zone, multifamily zone, signage, the world is our oyster.
Oh, wonderful. And are we going to start it with the zoning update subcommittee first? Or are we doing it as a full commission?
I guess the thinking was, since it appears we may have a calmer summer, that, rather than needing to have a special meeting, we could likely do it with the full commission, or, we could have the subcommittee start a later meeting or an earlier meeting that same night as one of the.
Fair.
Just so you know, I just add, we have a bit of work that we've undertaken with Sarah on this, so we would, whenever you choose, we would be ready for your July meeting or your August meeting.
July 28th.
Yeah, the July 28th meeting.
The August meeting is on the 25th.
Well, don't we as a commission or as a subcommittee need to kind of figure out where we want to go next before we bring BFJ back to the table?
Yeah, so again, we had the plan of what were the next steps, and then we had to shift. So if the commission or subcommittee doesn't want to just continue with what the original plan was,
So
yes,
what
we
if-
could.
Could you remind
Yeah,
us of
so
what we
the
were
the
headed
next
towards?
steps were going to be to start looking at the apartment zone, and then just our general standards for our residential, single-family residential zone, meaning, do we want to establish an impervious coverage requirement on our smaller lots? Do we want to look at how much building coverage we allow for single-family homes? I think we were even going to look at like fencing standards. But- Yes. And then
I want to talk about the village district design guidelines and getting them codified, but
Yeah.
that probably was not part of the original.
That's not part
Scope
of
of
our
work.
contract,
Scope,
yeah.
yeah.
That would take, that's an effort. That's,
Oh, I know.
we would love to do it, but that's probably a separate effort.
I'm just saying, like, does it make sense to move on to residential and then later come back? I mean, it could work to go back to village district design guidelines.
again, I think that's where regrouping definitely needs to happen.
I see. So we don't need to decide tonight how we're moving forward. You're saying July or August, that's what we would talk about. Or did you want to come in and hit the ground running in July and August and like pick up?
I mean, again, that's up to you all. If you're ready to do that, we could do that. Or if, like you've just said, you personally feel like you want to switch gears to the village district design guidelines.
I think it would serve us well to kind of regroup and reprioritize where we want to go in
I
for
agree with
the
that.
second half of this effort. Before we hit the ground running.
Just doing that maybe in July too, and just sort of get
July.
on with it.
Okay.
You can. that would be
Possibly
good.
in the August meeting, then have Frank and his team come back and we can then.
Okay,
move
so
forward.
internal regroup,
I think so.
July meeting,
Yep.
have BFJ.
Yep.
For August. Okay.
For your regroup yourselves, we can just give you that revised timeline we did, and
Yeah, that would help.
we can do that for your July meeting, then you regroup, and then
Yeah.
we'll be ready for your August meeting. That's fine.
That'd be
yeah,
great.
yeah.
And for that, it would be good to get a recommended, not just the timeline, but a sort of a next level of detail in terms of the plan of attack of how to engage public, how many public forums and sessions we're gonna have, all of which you kind of bullet point on your timeline.
Right.
But if we could get those listed out, that would be helpful, so everyone understands how much effort's still left in this.
Yeah, and just to telegraph that, as you know, because of the July 1 deadline, we sort of did extra meetings with you to get this done.
Mhm.
So some of those public meetings, which we list, they'll probably be public meetings you would be doing because our contract doesn't have those in them.
Yep. So when we pivoted, I think, the initial thinking was get us to July 1, which we've just accomplished. And then with whatever was left in our current contract with BFJ, just get as many drafts done as possible. And then we could move forward with them as we see fit. And then I have money in next year's budget for us to do some sort of contract, however we see fit with whoever we see fit.
Sounds like a plan.
Good, so we'll get you that, or through
Yep.
Sarah, for your July meeting by yourself, and then we'll be ready to go over text, proposed text in August, your August meeting, then August 25th, August 25th, right? Right. That's great.
Thank you very much. On to Quarry Hill. Okay, commissioners. Next item on the agenda is 30 Parade Hill. On application of Amy E. Suchins, McDermott, Reynolds, and Glissman PC, authorized agent for GHF Parade Hill Road LLC, owners for site plan approval pursuant to section 830G of the Connecticut General Statutes and to construct a 14-unit residential structure in the B residence and half-acre zones at 30 Parade Hill Road, map P, block 42, lot 852.
So in front of everyone is a draft resolution that is essentially the same as what was emailed to you all yesterday afternoon, except for a couple of typos and changing of very minor words. So I recommend referencing that when reading and editing, but it is 99% the same exact document that was emailed to everyone yesterday afternoon.
Are the paragraphs the same?
On the screen.
I will, yeah.
How do you want to attack this, Mr. Chairman? Page by page?
Oh, boy. Yeah,
Paragraph by paragraph? Sentence by sentence? Word by word?
word by word. In the end, we're going to have to read the entire thing for record anyway, but I would like to tackle it section by section for discussion and deliberation. Again, this is a closed application. We're here to review this particular, the findings as well as the recommended denial on this one. Following up on all of the discussion points that we had at the last meeting. I trust that everyone's had a chance to take a look at the very thorough package that's been put together here in terms of the denial requirements and the conditions. Anyway, let's take it through sections by section.
So just to clarify for the record who's seated for this.
Yes. So, how many meetings have we had on this now? 5, 4?
4 or 5.
Yeah. Of the, sorry,
This is number 5.
this is number 5. So I know, George, you have not been involved all the way along. But all the rest of the commissioners that are here this evening, including Megan and Bill on the alternates, have you been present, or have you if you haven't been present, have you listened to the tapes of all of the meetings associated with this application?
Yeah, I've been present.
Present. Okay. Everyone good. Okay, so everyone's seated. Everyone's been present and part of the previous meetings. So everyone that was seated previously will be seated for this particular final application.
And then for the alternates, Megan and Bill.
For
are seated.
alternates, Megan and Bill, correct.
We were not seated for the deliberations at the last meeting. Is that
Yes.
material?
We have Nick Bamonte on the line.
Nick, you there? There he is.
Do you see any issue with us seating the alternates? We didn't seat them at the last meeting for the deliberation because we had commissioners present who are not present now.
Okay. I mean, have the alternates reviewed the record? I mean, just what the chairman just asked the other members.
Yeah, they both alternates acknowledge they were here for all previous meetings on this application.
Okay, no issue.
Thanks.
Okay. So shall I read each section and then we can comment on it as necessary? Is that the best plan of attack? Sure, have it up. Yep. Some of these are long, some of these sections are longer than others, commissioners. I'll get through them. I'll get through the longest ones and then we can deliberate and discuss on each one and then call to a vote at the end without having to repeat and go through each one. Is that acceptable, Nick? To read them as we deliberate?
Yeah, that's the most efficient way to go about doing it. That's fine.
Okay. All right, we'll start off. Findings, number 1, the applicant GHF Parade Hill Road LLC, affiliated with Garden Homes Fund, represented by attorney Amy Suchins of McDermott Reynolds Glisson PC, is seeking site plan approval to construct a multifamily housing development pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes 830G for a 14-unit development associated site improvements. The town of New Canaan has had a valid and effective certification for affordable housing completion from the state of Connecticut's Department of Housing, CTDOH, in effect since August 27, 2024, and is exempt for the Affordable Housing Appeals Procedure of 830G for a period of 4 years, except as outlined in 830G, subsection 1, sub 2. Section A, site plan and application history. The applicant's property consists of 30 Parade Hill, parcels P/42/852. The lot is serviced by public water and sewer. The site is currently improved with a 1952 built single-family home. The lot is 0.37 acres and located partially in the B residence zone and partially in the half-acre zone, where minimum lot size is 7,500 square feet and 21,780 square feet, respectively. In a report dated November 13th, 2024, completed by soil scientist William Kenny, PWS, PLA, it was verified that the lot contains no wetlands. Therefore, no application was submitted to Inland Wetlands Agency for the proposed development associated with this application. The applicant in February 2026 submitted a site plan application for the assisted housing development pursuant to 830G of the Connecticut General Statutes to the Commission, including A, site plan approval pursuant to 830G of the Connecticut General Statutes to construct the 14-unit residential structure in the B residence and half-acre zones at 30 Parade Hill Road, map P, block 42, lot 852. Can we just correct that? As everywhere it's stated, it should say 14-unit residential structure, not the other way around. Got that?
Yep.
Thank you. The application was received at a special meeting held on March 9th, 2026, after the Commission's regular February meeting was canceled due to inclement weather. The Commission voted to hold a public hearing on March 31st for the application. 3 public hearings were held to accept testimony and evidence and to receive comments from the public and applicant on March 31st, 2026, April 28th, 2026, and May 26th, 2026. The applicant provided extensions through June 23rd for the commission to deliberate and conduct a final vote. Not much to deliberate in that particular section, just a statement of facts. Section B, proposed development. Key components of the proposed development include 14 units with a mix of 2 and 3 bedrooms, and 1 structure is proposed where a maximum of 1 unit is permitted on a lot, given the structure's location is primarily in the half-acre zone. Point B, a 16-space parking lot in the front yard of the proposed building where 28 spaces would otherwise be required under the town's zoning regulations and would have to be located in the rear or side yard. Subpoint C, a 3-story structure with a total building height of 38 feet 9 inches is proposed where 2.5 stories would be permitted in either underlying zone and a total building height of 35 feet in the B residence zone or 40 feet in the half-acre zone. Subpoint D, a proposed building footprint of 3,868 square feet where the town zoning regulations, the maximum building footprint permitted on a 0.37 acre lot is 2,787 square feet. Subpoint E, setbacks of the proposed structure include 78 feet from the front property line, 10 feet and 9 feet from the side property lines, and 28 feet from the rear property line, all of which comply with the zoning requirements for the B residence zone, but do not comply with the side yard setbacks of a half-acre zone. Again, all statement of facts, nothing to really deliberate or discuss. And as I'm going along, if anyone has a grammar or, text change, just speak up. Section C, applicant's proposed affordable housing plan. The applicant provided 2 affordability plans, one that would be utilized if the commission approved the application with reasonable conditions called the alternate affordability plan, and a secondary plan called the default affordability plan if the application was denied or approved with conditions that would impact the financial viability of the project. The applicant asserts that both affordability plans are consistent with the definition asserted of assisted housing as outlined in 830G subsection A sub 3. Point 11. The alternate affordability plan would ensure all 14 units are income restricted to affordability levels that would give the town housing unit equivalent HUE points for a future moratorium. 5 of the units would be specifically deed restricted for individuals or families with a housing choice voucher. The applicant upon approval was willing to have the income limits deed restricted in perpetuity.
Mr. Chairman, I have 2 edits or proposed edits on paragraph 10, 3rd line. The last word was, it should be were, subjunctive case. And in 11, I would suggest in the first line, say all 14 proposed units, since they are proposed, as opposed to approved. Those are my 2 suggestions for that section.
Could you repeat for paragraph number 10?
Number 10, on the 3rd line, the last word was, I would change it to were, subjunctive case.
Okay. Anyone else?
Not there.
Okay.
Keep going.
Number 12.
I'll let you know
The default affordability plan would provide for only 11 affordable units, 5 of which would again be deed restricted to housing choice voucher holders. The 6 additional affordable units would be deed restricted to those making 80% or less of the area median income. The other 3 units would be rented at market rate. Point 13, the applicant submitted its consent to the following conditions of approval related to the proposed affordability requirements and their enforcement, but reserved the right to rescind that consent in the event of a denial and subsequent reversal of that denial, asserting that such conditions are not necessary to comply with all requirements of 830G. Point A, the applicant shall implement the 26 HUE points alternate affordability plan subject to all conditions specified in paragraph 4 of the affordability plan being met with the exception of the condition requiring no appeal to Superior Court by an intervener or other third party. The applicant is waiving this condition. Subpoint B, the applicant shall file on land records the proposed declaration of restrictive covenants, deed restrictions, implementing the 26 HUE point alternate affordability plan, subject to all conditions specified in paragraph 4 of the affordability plan being met, with the exception of the condition requiring no appeal to Superior Court by an intervener or other third party. The applicant is waiving this condition.
I actually have two small edits to make in paragraphs 11 and 12. It should say with a shelter plus care voucher, not housing choice voucher.
Say it again?
Shelter plus care voucher is the,
Shelter plus care?
that is what, that's how they refer, that's how the housing collective refers to that. I think those are the specific vouchers for the families who are coming out of homelessness. So in
Okay.
paragraphs 11 and 12, it should say shelter plus care vouchers.
Okay. Anything else?
I wanted to posit whether we should add another paragraph at the end of this section that talks about how the commission considered the applicant's alternate affordability plan. However, the commission found that the alternate plan does not cure the deficiencies identified in this resolution. More income restricted units do not create additional government assistance, because I think, I mean, and when I read this, and I assume most people reading this are going to be like, wow, the alternate plan sounds pretty good. Like, why didn't you guys go with it? And I think it would behoove us to explain that just because they're creating additional affordability, what our deficiency is the government assistance piece. So you could make all of the units conceivably affordable, but that doesn't cure the deficiency of this application.
But don't we do that further down? Or we might, when we get to our analysis component, part of it?
We could.
That's what I would,
Be further down.
I think it would be further. I think we lead in with everything that's been entered into the record, and then our decision based on the evidence in the record and
Statement of fact.
Okay.
I would put that in the end if we decide to do it.
Okay.
It's a placement issue.
Yeah.
I agree.
Analysis.
I agree.
Okay. We'll keep going. Section D, applicant's argument for exemption from town's active moratorium under 830G. The applicant has taken a position that even though the town has a valid and active certification for affordable housing completion and is exempt from the affordable housing appeals procedure of 830G, the applicant's proposed development is not subject to such certification because it is permitted as quote unquote assisted housing pursuant to 830G subsection 1, 1 and 2.
Just it's subsection
L.
L2, just
Is it L or 1?
It's L2, just so we're saying.
Lowercase L.
Lowercase.
Before we go on right after that, I think there's a period that doesn't need to be there.
Yep.
Does there need to be a comma?
No.
No.
Okay.
Probably doesn't need to be a comma after and
Yep.
either.
Just after therefore.
Okay.
And therefore, all local zoning regulations are not applicable to the proposed development. Accordingly, the proposed plans do not comply with the various elements of permitted development within the B residence or half-acre zone as described in the preceding paragraph. The applicant claims that the proposed development meets the definition of assisted housing as outlined in 830G A3 because, point A, Garden Homes Fund, the proposed developer and current owner of the property, is a 501c3 nonprofit who submitted and received approval for a Reg 19 application to the State of Connecticut's Department of Revenue Services. And the project is therefore exempt from sales tax for all purchases relating to the construction of the development, which the applicant claims qualifies as quote unquote government assistance under 830G.
Mr. Chairman, typo, which you corrected, it should be Revenue Services technically. That is the name of the group,
Services.
which you said in the record, but it isn't written there.
Just fixed it.
I think just do IRC in front of 501c3.
What?
It's IRC, Internal Revenue Code.
Like
Like IRC,
yeah.
Yeah, uppercase I, uppercase R, uppercase C, 501c3.
So like that. Can you see that?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
So I'll add that in paragraph B as well.
Yeah, wherever you see 501c3, please add that.
So anywhere there's 501c3, there would be IRC as well.
Yeah, just the correct citation.
Okay. Subsection B, the housing collective, also a 501c3 IRC nonprofit, has attempted to allocate 5 tenant-based housing, are they housing choice vouchers or
Shelter care.
are we
Shelter plus care.
shelter plus care? Shelter plus care vouchers. To the proposed development. An example, approximately 35% of the total units in the proposed development for the length of the affordability plan's term, which the applicant also claims qualifies as quote unquote government assistance under 830G. Any other comments or clarifications, anyone?
Government assistance, a quoted. I don't know if that's a term.
Line term.
I don't know if that's a defined term.
Yeah, I don't know that it is.
Yeah.
Assisted housing is a defined term.
Yeah.
Right, that we talk about later. So I don't know if that belongs in quotes, Sarah, that last line.
So both A and B should take out the quotes on government assistance.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was an A too.
Hold on. Let me just bring it up. Applicant also claims qualifies as. I think you could say. Bring it up. Financial assistance under any governmental program. That's the phrase.
Claims qualifies as financial assistance under.
Financial assistance under any governmental program. And that could be
Governmental program.
in quotes.
Okay. Saying under again, should we say in accordance with 830G?
No, under's fine.
Okay, and so we'll do that in both.
Good. Okay, assisted housing claim. Point 16. The application was submitted under section 830G L2, which exempts assisted housing developments under 40 units in size from active 830G moratoria. The applicant provided 2 reasons for qualifying as an assisted housing development as described in paragraph 15 of the resolution. So the definition of assisted housing as stated in 830G A3 is, quote, housing which is receiving or will receive financial assistance under any governmental program for the construction of substantial rehabilitation of low and moderate income housing, and any housing occupied by persons receiving rental assistance under Chapter 319 UU or Section 1437F of Title 42 of the United States Code, close quote. The applicant submitted the following evidence into record in support of their assisted housing claim.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
I would suggest altering the first line of 18 and dropping the word evidence. Just submitted.
Submitted the following into
Why?
record.
I just submitted it. The issue is it evidence in effect? It's purported evidence, which we are disagreeing with.
It's still evidence
Well,
whether
evidence.
you
I don't think
agree.
it's not an issue of fact, it's an issue of law.
Okay.
I would say that in all of our resolutions, that is a standard term that we say.
So we hold, subpoint A, low and moderate income facilities approval, Connecticut Department of Revenue Services dated 10/15/2025. B is IRS Revenue Procedure 96-32, Low Income Housing Guidelines dated 5/13/1996. Subpoint C, letter from the Housing Collective regarding use of tenant vouchers dated 12/11/2025. Subpoint D, flowchart of how the Housing Collective manages vouchers submitted 3/27/26. Subpoint E, letter from Charter Oak Communities to Richard Friedman regarding housing choice vouchers dated March 18th, 2026. Subpoint F, responses to questions from 3/9/26 meeting. Why, quote, why is this assisted housing and exempt from the town's moratorium, close quote, and open quote, why aren't all of the units reserved for voucher holders, close quote. Subpoint G, State of Connecticut Purchase Service Contract between the Department of Housing and the Housing Collective effective July 1st, 2024. Comments, anyone? Okay, we'll keep going. Subpoint H, Reg 19, REG 19 application package submitted by the Garden Homes Fund to the Department of Revenue Services for approval for a tax exemption for low and moderate income housing facilities under Connecticut General Statutes, CGS 12-412, subsection 29.
Mr. Chairman, a technical question. After CGS, do you need to insert the section symbol before 12-412?
You might as well if you could find it on the word processing app, Sarah.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, we are.
Did Nick just reference a word processor?
He did.
App, word processing app, folks. Come on.
How about a typewriter?
Would you like to fax us your comments?
Come on, guys, the quill pen, maybe.
Word processor, okay.
Just do it by hand.
Yeah. Subsection I, responses to questions from commissioners sent to the town planner submitted 4/2026. Subsection J, signed memorandum of understanding, MOU, between the Housing Collective and GHF Parade Hill Road LLC dated 5/5/2026. Subsection K, email dated September 3rd, 2025, between Cynthia Pomerleau, Connecticut Department of Revenue Services, and Lorinda Proctor, Garden Homes, regarding the Reg 19 application filed by the Garden Homes Fund for 30 Parade Hill Road. Subsection L, legislative history for PA 75-613, enactment of the exemption from sales and use taxes for the construction of low and moderate income housing. Section 19, the Planning and Zoning Commission via its staff submitted the following evidence into the record prior to the May 26th, 2026 meeting to further understand the definition of assisted housing given in 830G, subsection A. Connecticut,
Commission.
what is it?
Connecticut Commission transcript.
Committee transcript?
Committee, yeah.
Connecticut Committee transcript HSG 2/15/2000. Connecticut Select Committee on Housing transcript, February 15th, 2000. Connecticut BN bill analysis 2000 HB 5107. Connecticut amended bill analysis 2000 House Bill 5107 from the Office of Legislative Research 2000 regular session. Section 20. During the public hearing, an attorney hired by the direct abutters to the subject property submitted the following written testimony while the public hearing was open in objection to the applicant's claim that the development is assisted housing. Subsection A. Letter to the Planning and Zoning Commission regarding Garden Homes Fund assisted housing application dated April 27th, 2026, submitted by Wilson T. Carroll, Esquire, of Cohen and Wolf, PC. Section 21. Based on the evidence in record, the Commission finds that the government assistance, as contemplated by the CGS 830G A3 and the moratorium exemption in 830G L2 involves a demonstrable governmental commitment directed to the proposed development itself, evidenced by governmental funding, binding assistance agreements, enforceable affordability obligations, and ongoing governmental oversight or compliance mechanisms.
Can we stop that for a second?
Yep.
In 21, instead of involves, can we say requires?
Requires a demonstrable governmental commitment. Yeah, I think that's better.
Demonstrable. Yes, stronger word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it needs to be a requirement.
Yes.
And just, I want to put a pin in the last and ongoing governmental oversight or compliance mechanisms.
Mhm.
Just if we could, because when we get down to section 29, I just want to have a discussion on that. So
Okay.
if you could just, Sarah, just put like just highlight that text, because depending on where we land on that, that may potentially come out.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. I'll continue where we left off. The record reflects a total project cost of approximately $6.4 million funded entirely by the Garden Homes Fund, a private 501c3 foundation with no such commitments in place.
Mr. Chairman, again, IRC. Okay, fine. Yep. Got it.
The commission finds that neither the DRS sales and use tax exemption nor the applicant's claim of future access to tenant-based vouchers establish such governmental assistance. Section 22.22. The commission further finds that even if the instruments identified by the applicant could constitute governmental assistance under the statutory definition, the applicant has not demonstrated that such assistance is real, present, and committed to this development. The commission finds that speculative future assistance, unsupported by any binding governmental commitment to this development, does not satisfy the statutory standard. Point 23. The commission further finds that the applicant's interpretation of CGS 830G-A3 is inconsistent with the legislative purpose and structure of the moratorium provisions. The legislative history of the assisted housing exemption confirms that the exemption was intended to preserve a pathway for developments receiving substantial and demonstrable governmental support for affordable housing. The commission does not find the possibility of future occupancy by tenants utilizing portable rental assistance vouchers in 5 of the 14 units to meet that intent.
I would just recommend in the first sentence, the commission further finds that the applicant's interpretation of the definition of assisted housing in CGS, because that specific section of the statute has like 10 different definitions. So
That's fine.
Yep.
That's the first sentence. Can you repeat that?
the commission further finds that the applicant's interpretation of the definition of assisted housing contained in CGS or
Can we just quickly, where we say government assistance, I know we say it in 21, at the bottom of 21, can we say government financial assistance? Right, because I mean, government assistance, a lot of things.
Hmm.
Say government assistance,
so
top
government financial.
let me say governmental assistance. I just want to be consistent with the language. Maybe governmental financial assistance or government financial assistance.
Okay. Did we say it in 22?
21.
Put it in 23.
We should be consistent if we do.
It does say it in 22.
It's not a defined term, but I think it gets at the gist of what the defined term that we
Second line
Voted
in
up above.
22.
Mhm.
So government financial.
governmental financial assistance.
And then do we say it in 23?
We do.
Yeah, we do in the second line. We say constitute governmental assistance to governmental financial assistance.
In 23.
Oh, sorry, in 22. I don't see it in 23.
No, not in 23.
Talks about demonstrable governmental support.
I think that's fine.
Okay. Point 24. Throughout the review process, the commission requested additional information and modifications to the proposal to verify the applicant's claim of government assistance and the compliance, well, again,
Government financial assistance.
government financial assistance and compliance with the statutory requirements for assisted housing. The commission finds that the applicant did not provide sufficient evidence to substantiate those claims and was unwilling to make requested changes pertaining to the number of units set aside. So take that first
Yep.
two out. Set aside for voucher holders, which the commission felt was necessary to demonstrate compliance with the assisted housing definition contained in 830G(A)(3). DRS sales tax exemption and the Reg 13 application. Point 25.
Wait, hold on.
Sure.
Commission finds, yeah, that last sentence was,
That was added in this.
Okay.
new.
the commission finds the applicant not provide sufficient is unwilling to make requested changes.
It was asked that I be specific about what requested changes they were not willing to make.
Set aside for voucher holders. But hold on, which the commission felt was necessary to demonstrate compliance with the assisted housing definition. But then if we go on to say in the following paragraphs that,
It was one of the reasons, so we could.
okay, yeah,
soften it.
I'm just saying because we go out, we go on in the following paragraphs to say that the voucher itself is not sufficient because of the lack of the binding nature of it. So this seems to also read that, well, if they had made the requested changes and vouchered every single unit, they would have met
Right.
So, I mean,
the statute.
should we just get rid of this whole second half of the sentence? Is that necessary for the intent of this paragraph?
Or should we drop the word felt and a different word deems necessary, concludes is necessary? Just stronger language in my view.
This claims is length of request changes. What did we have before? It was willing to make,
It said the commission finds that the applicant did not provide sufficient evidence to substantiate those claims and in certain instances was unwilling to make requested changes necessary to demonstrate compliance with the assisted housing definition contained in 830G(A)(3).
and but did somebody say that was not strong enough in terms of or what's the?
Yes, it was requested that I add in specifically what those requested changes were.
No, I'm just
I mean, we could put it
cautious
back,
because
yeah.
because it's almost saying that if they had made that change, then therefore they would have complied with the housing definition, which then we go on to say they wouldn't because of the nature of the voucher.
So we do, like, I had no issue with the original language. And we do specifically in a later paragraph talk about what that requested change was and how the applicant was unwilling to.
I would go back to
read
the
that
original
change.
language.
Okay,
Just because again, we do go on to say that.
okay, could someone
we do
read that
question
language
the
back
voucher
to me?
itself, so I'm,
Mhm.
So the last sentence was, the commission finds that the applicant did not provide sufficient evidence to substantiate those claims. And in certain instances was unwilling to make requested changes necessary to demonstrate. Yeah.
We should also include CGS before the section 830G.
In a lot of areas, we do not.
But I would just suggest we want to be consistent one way or another. So. We have put in other ones.
We good on 24?
Yep.
Okay. 25. The commission finds that the DRS sales and use tax exemption does not provide governmental funds directly to the proposed development and does not establish a continuing governmental funding relationship with the development.
can we do, again, just to pin the language, just that second from and to the period, just so we could highlight that.
Okay.
because I want to have a discussion on
At the April 28th meeting, the applicant confirmed that the exemption is not competitive and that any qualifying 501c3 organization meeting the eligibility criteria could obtain the same exemption. Further, the applicant confirmed that no money flows to the project from DRS as a result of the facility determination letter and could not identify ongoing DRS monitoring of affordability compliance, enforcement of affordability restrictions, or ensuring that the project is operated in accordance with the representations made in the application.
Mr. Chairman, a couple wordsmithing issues on the third line for the word development. Again, I would say proposed development. Also, after April 28th, that would include 2026, just for precision purposes. So it's implied. Let's be precise. Also, the 501c3, the 3 should be in parens.
Okay.
That's the way it is, I remember, yeah. Those are my edits.
Okay.
Suggested.
Any further edits or changes, anyone? On 25? 26, the commission finds that a tax exemption that transfers no funds to the development and creates no continuing governmental relationship does not constitute governmental assistance under CGS 830GA3.
Yeah, just pin that and creates no continuing governmental relationship language.
Okay. Relationship. 27. The applicant did not provide into the record any controlling case law or statutory authority interpreting whether a sales tax exemption program qualifies as a quote unquote financial assistance under any governmental program, close quote, as used in the assisted housing definition of CGS 830GA3. Accordingly, in the absence of such authority on the issue, the Commission is informed by the legislative history of 2000 House Bill 5107, which enacted CGS 830G L2, the subsection under the applicant, subsection under which the applicant seeks approval of its proposed development. The legislative analysis of 2000 House Bill 5107 states on page 5, quote, the bill exempts from the moratorium applications for a proposed development that receive government funds, emphasis added. And the commission takes notice that the words such as government exemption, quote, abatement, or quote, withholding are clearly omitted. Applicants who are approved for a sales tax and use tax exemption never receive government funds from DRS. Successful applicants are simply exempt from sales tax. Any tweaks to that paragraph? Anyone? Okay, keep going. Point 28. Further, the commission agrees with the argument presented by attorney Wilson Carroll in his April 27th, 2026 letter to the commission, which challenges the applicant's assertion that the Connecticut Supreme Court's decision in Dukes versus Durante, 192 Connecticut 207, 220-1984, establishes that the Reg 19 sales tax exemption process constitutes a valid form of governmental assistance. The applicant relies on that decision, including the court's reference to a Webster dictionary definition of the term program, without considering the full context of the case, and applies that interpretation to the sales and use tax exemption. The commission finds that the circumstances in Dukes versus Durante differ substantially and significantly from those presented in this application, and therefore that the decision cannot be directly applied to support the applicant's position. The commission finds that the government assistance requirement in CGS 830GA3 serves as a structural purpose beyond financial support. It ensures the participation of governmental entity with legal authority, ongoing monitoring obligations, and financial investment sufficient to guarantee continued affordability compliance independent of the town's general zoning enforcement powers. Both principal pathways under CGS 830G, set aside developments and government-assisted housing, embed enforcement architecture to uphold the affordability obligation. Set aside developments achieve this through deed restrictions running with the land. Government-assisted housing achieves this through the ongoing compliance relationship with the funding agency. The sales and use tax exemption creates neither. The commission finds that an affordability promise unsupported by any governmental compliance architecture beyond the town's general zoning enforcement authority does not satisfy the structural purpose of the government assistance requirement.
So this is the paragraph that I have trouble including because in my opinion, it might be a step too far to make that, to read in that requirement. I mean, I understand the truth behind it. It makes total sense that if you're giving a loan, you're giving a voucher, you're obviously there has to be some compliance mechanism to make sure that the money is being used correctly.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I didn't find, there was no authority in the record that I saw that said, well, if you are getting you are using this section of the statute and the government program, the financial assistance under any governmental program, the governmental program then has to have kind of the ongoing monitor obligations tied to it. It very well might, but I didn't see anything that said that it must. And so I think the argument that the sales tax exemption is inapplicable under this section, I don't know if it needs to rely on the monitoring program as well, but I could be persuaded.
I'm fine with removing it.
Okay. So maybe we remove this one, and then where we pinned the other yellow language, I would remove.
Okay, do we
In the
want
preceding paragraphs?
Preceding paragraphs where we talk about ongoing maintenance obligations.
so
Delete 29.
does anyone object to deleting it before I hit delete?
Don't want me to have to read it out loud to you again?
Is there a way we can rephrase 29 to be less less rigid in terms of what's considered the oversight criteria?
But I mean, I don't see that in statute, right? If we're saying, does the program they've presented meet the statute? And we say, well, no, it doesn't because it doesn't have an oversight requirement. I don't see anything in the statute that says it does.
I see.
And I don't think anything in the legislative history or anything in the materials that have been presented that said it does have to have that oversight requirement.
Fair enough. Okay.
Accept.
I mean, the main point I would make, and I'm fine with deleting it, and I don't know if this needs to go anywhere, is that generally government assistance
Right.
comes
Yes.
with that. Now,
Right.
does it have to have it? I don't know.
Right.
But does it generally come with
Strings attached.
strings
Yeah,
attached? It
Yeah.
definitely
Right.
does.
I agree with that.
But you can delete this
And
paragraph.
if there was, I think if there was something in the record that said that, then yeah, I think, and I didn't see anything. Maybe if you did, and we could point to
You mean in the legislative history?
well, legislative history and the cases that were presented, anything that was in the record that we are reviewing that we read into evidence, I didn't see anything
I didn't
that
see
said
anything.
this. So
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to put in something that's not in the record and make our decision based on something that's not in the record.
Very fair.
Fair enough. Then we can strike 29.
Okay, and then do we want to go back through the highlighted?
Yeah, let's go back to the highlighted words.
So that's in section 26,
Highlighted, yeah, paragraph 25 and 26. And then I
25
believe
and
another
26.
one.
Yep.
Or do we want to
And
basically just delete from and?
well, hold on. Was it 20? Yeah, 25. Yeah, 25 from and. And then 26 from and to relationship.
And then I think there was one other.
Then you could keep that at the end of that section. Yeah.
Keep the rest of 26?
Yeah, so could write it would say,
No, I think you need an and after development in 26.
Yeah, I think you're right. Comma, development, comma, and does
Does
not.
not.
And then are we also,
And makes sense there. The commission finds that a tax exemption that transfers no funds to the development
Oh,
and does
never-
not,
Institute.
no, that doesn't make sense.
Right, no
yeah,
and.
yeah.
And then just 21,
21.
because we just delete.
Wasn't there another one? No, I guess not.
Delete what's highlighted.
Uh-huh.
21.
Uh-huh.
And then I'll add an and before enforceable. So do you also need to get rid of enforceable affordability obligations in 21?
Yeah, you might want to rework that whole written of things.
yeah, or then maybe, yeah, you want to, enforceable affordability obligations.
So after itself, basically just say evidenced by government financial assistance or governmental funding's okay.
Governmental funding and binding assistance agreements. Doesn't we talk about the binding nature in after 29?
We good on 21?
Were there any other highlighted sections or was that it?
I don't think so. I think that
That
was
was it, yeah.
Okay. Going back, point 30. The commission further finds an applicant confirmed that the sales and use tax exemption is universally available to any qualifying nonprofit housing organization that submits the required form. The commission finds that accepting a universally available administrative tax benefit as government assistance under, so change is to as.
Yep. Government financial assistance.
Yeah, as government assistance under CGS 830G-A3 would mean that every nonprofit affordable housing developer in Connecticut potentially qualifies as government assisted, unreasonably lowering the threshold for a moratorium exemption. While the applicant argues that is the legislative intent, the commission disagrees. Validity of voucher access, point 31. The commission finds that the applicant has not provided sufficient evidence that they have binding irrevocable access to housing vouchers for the 5 vouchered units and cannot guarantee that the 5 units set aside for voucher holders will be occupied by voucher holders for the length of the affordability term. The claimed assistance is speculative, contingent, and dependent. Further independent decisions of parties over whom the applicant does not exercise control. The commission further finds that the housing collective, the entity that the applicant has identified as the source for voucher assistance, is not a governmental agency and is not the authorized voucher administrator for New Canaan.
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple suggestions.
Mhm.
On line 3, I would just say that guarantee that these 5 proposed units, again, proposed, and then continuing that sentence, before that it would be, second line, housing vouchers for the 5 proposed, quote, vouchered units, then and cannot guarantee that these 5 proposed units set aside for voucher holders would be occupied as opposed to will.
Okay. Okay. Point 32. The commission recognizes that the definition of assisted housing listed in CGS 830GA3 requires it be housing occupied by persons receiving rental assistance under Chapter 319 UU or Section 1437F of Title 42 of the United States Code. Point 33. The applicant's initial submission into the record to establish their access to 5 vouchers consisted of a letter from David Rich, CEO of the Housing Collective, to Richard Freeman, trustee, Garden Homes Fund, dated December 11th, 2025, which stated a partnership between the two entities existed for the proposed, quote unquote, proposed affordable housing project at 30 Parade Hill Road in New Canaan, close quote.
Can I just stop? Is that letter noted up above?
Yes.
The letter further stated, quote, under the arrangement outlined in the affordability plan, you will reserve a minimum of 5 units in the proposed 14-unit development for holders of housing choice vouchers administered by the Housing Collective. As the managing agency of the Coordinated Access Network for Homeless Service Providers in Fairfield County, we are responsible for administering 30,000 federally and state-funded housing choice and shelter plus care vouchers for use by individuals and families in southwestern Connecticut. The vouchers to be used at 30 Parade Hill will be funded under the State of Connecticut Rental Assistance Program authorized under Connecticut General Statutes Section 8-345. Any changes, commissioners? Okay. Point 34. Upon the commission's request for a contract between a governmental agency and either the Housing Collective or the Garden Homes Fund, fund should be capitalized, right? The applicant submitted a contract between the Connecticut Department of Housing, CTDOH, and the Housing Collective. The contract confirms the Housing Collective is in charge of managing the Coordinated Access Network for persons facing homelessness in the state of Connecticut. This includes staffing the state's 2-211 hotline and creating relationships with landlords to create a network of potential housing options for clients. However, no reference is made throughout the 66-page document that the Housing Collective is an agent of CTDOH and has the authority to issue vouchers. At the March 9th, 2026 public hearing, the Housing Collective's representative confirmed under questioning that the Housing Collective does not sign housing assistance payment, HAP, contracts, stating directly, quote, no, close quote, when asked whether the Housing Collective signs HAP contracts. At the April 28th public hearing, the Housing Collective's representative confirmed under questioning that D'Amelia and Associates, a contractor for DOH, processes the vouchers and signs the HAP contracts. When asked whether D'Amelia and Associates, you need the ampersand in it, D'Amelia and Associates, have made any written commitment of vouchers to 30 Parade Hill Road, the Housing Collective representative confirmed that tenant-based vouchers cannot be committed to a project, stating that such options will never be committed to a project because they follow the families. The commission finds that vouchers, which by their own nature cannot be committed to a project prior to occupancy, cannot constitute demonstrated governmental assistance for a building that does not yet exist. The applicant submitted
Governmental financial assistance.
governmental.
Are we doing government financial assistance or governmental financial assistance? Because I've been doing government
Great, that's
financial.
fine. Same. Financial, yeah.
Okay. Point 35. The applicant submitted an executed memorandum of understanding, MOU, between Garden Homes Fund and the Housing Collective, where the latter entity commits 5 housing choice vouchers to the development at 30 Parade Hill Road. The commission finds that the MOU between Garden Homes Fund and the Housing Collective does not confirm that the development will have tenants who are voucher holders because the Housing Collective does not have the authority to commit those vouchers. That authority would come from CTDOH or a documented agent. The commission further notes that at the April 28th meeting, the applicant's own counsel confirmed on record that the MOU is not legally binding, stating it's an MOU, right? So there's nothing legally binding in an MOU. The commission finds that a non-binding memorandum of understanding between two private parties under which no governmental entity has committed to provide vouchers does not constitute demonstrated governmental financial assistance within the meaning of CGS 830G, A3. Any further changes on that one? We're good?
Mr. Chairman, just one I missed, sorry, in 34 and 35, the statement of April 28th, these hearings, I would just state 2026 after each of them.
Okay.
Just for precision.
And just a reminder, we deleted paragraph 29, so we're now
Okay, I'm using the text that was handed out.
You can,
yeah.
you can
Correct that later.
Yeah, I'm just making sure that I'm referencing the correct paragraphs.
Okay.
Yeah. That's right.
Point 36, which is now point 35. Charter Oak Communities, which acts as the public housing authority in Stamford, Connecticut, wrote a letter to the applicant for inclusion in the record dated March 18th, 2026, regarding voucher availability in Fairfield County. The commission finds that the letter describes housing choice vouchers as a program administered by public housing authorities and explains the process by which voucher holders may transfer assistance between jurisdictions. The letter does not identify the housing collective as an entity authorized to issue, administer, reserve, or commit housing choice vouchers or any rental assistance programs. Accordingly, the commission finds that the letter undermines rather than supports the applicant's assertion that the housing collective possesses the authority necessary to guarantee that 5 voucher-assisted households will occupy units within the proposed development pursuant to the MOU. The commission further finds that the letter written by Charter Oak Communities is primarily an expression of opinion regarding the likelihood that voucher holders would be interested in renting the proposed units and does not provide evidence that governmental rental assistance we can leave that the way it is, has been committed to the development itself.
So my only comment would be we're referring to housing choice vouchers.
I
So
know.
I could add in language that says housing choice vouchers like shelter care plus
Yes.
vouchers.
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Was it shelter plus? I think it was
Shelter plus care.
Care vouchers.
Point 30, former 37, now 36. The commission finds that accepting speculative, uncommitted, tenant-based vouchers as a basis for assisted housing status would produce results inconsistent with the structure and purpose of CGS 830G. If the mere possibility of future tenants holding vouchers were sufficient to establish assisted housing status, any developer signing an MOU with a non-designated voucher administrator could bypass the moratorium. The commission further finds that this result would undermine the value of the moratorium as a planning tool and remove the incentive for municipalities to make the affirmative investments in affordable housing that the moratorium is designed to reward.
When we talked earlier in the document about the certificate of affordable housing completion, should we AKA moratorium?
Yeah, I was
that
just
so
thinking
that
that.
it's clear that we're talking about the same
I
thing.
know what
It was
paragraph that is.
Paragraph 2 starts it, so I think
Starts it, yeah. You can grab it from there.
To,
To undermine the value of the,
you know, I'll just into put a parentheses
moratorium.
moratorium.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so then we
Just
should
to
be
be clear.
covered. We're at 36.
okay. Well, former 38, we're now at new 37. no more than 5 of the 14 proposed units will receive any form of government assistance. So the new 37, the commission finds that even if the applicant's claimed instruments could constitute governmental assistance under CGS 830G-A3, the assistance claimed extends to only 5 of the 14 proposed units. The commission finds that partial governmental assistance covering a minority of units in a proposed development does not satisfy the assisted housing definition under CGS 830G-A3 and does not qualify the development for the moratorium exemption under CGS 830G-L2. This finding is supported by the statutory text, the legislative history of the moratorium exemption, and the consistent practice of assisted housing development in the town of New Canaan.
We put a pin in the language and the consistent practice
Yeah.
of assisted housing development in the town of New Canaan.
And yes, I was
don't
gonna
see it's
say that.
relevant.
I was excited to pull in Eric, but Eric beat me to it. I think we also should delete, I think it's overstated to say the statutory text. I mean, definitely we're gonna go on
Yeah.
and talk about the legislative history, but
That makes sense.
Okay, so
supported by, the legislative history. And then, pin.
Mr. Chairman, I would also note on the, or suggest on the subhead that's italicized, it would be proposed units would receive as opposed to will. And also on the second line, the assistance claimed would extend to only. Softer.
Okay. Point 38, formerly point 39. On pages 31 and 32 of the, or 31-32 of the Connecticut Select Committee on Housing transcript dated February 15th, 2000, remarks from the presiding chairman of the committee, Representative Flaherty, stated the following on the intent of the 40-unit assisted housing exemption proposed through 2000 House Bill 5107. Quote, "Thank you for your testimony. I appreciate it. I would just make one slight clarification on recommendation 27. First of all, it's clear that we're talking about assisted developments of 40 units or less. And that was done deliberately in part because of, quite frankly, from complaints we had gotten from the town of Trumbull, where the set-aside housing seemed to be the most objectionable. And secondly, those units, if they were to be developed, would earn points toward a moratorium, another moratorium, so they do count. And because of the fact that additional points are given based on additional affordability, the idea was that a number of these small assisted developments could work to prevent any set-aside development from ever coming into a town because of the fact that they earn so many points toward a moratorium. So that was a carefully crafted recommendation. You still may not like it, but at least we need to understand what it is that's being recommended and why." Close quote.
So I'm fine with that paragraph, but I want to take the text. If you go down to, well, I guess it was old 44 and now new 43, the at multiple public hearings.
Yeah.
So I think the way that you analyze it, and which we kind of did above, is you start with the most authoritative legal framework, and then you dispel it down to like legislative history, right? And so that sentence in multiple public hearings, the commission asked the applicant if there was legal authority that set forth an applicable threshold, right? Was there like a case law, that sort of thing? I think that first two sentences needs to go at the top of 39. Basically say, look, we asked for case law, we asked for statutes, we asked for something, we didn't get any. So then the next thing we have to turn to, and it kind of goes along with the same justification for the tax exemption, is that we then looked to the legislative history. So
I think it's a separate paragraph from 39, like a
you could,
paragraph
yeah, you
before.
could add a new
39.
paragraph, but I would do that first from,
I think she's got it.
Well, should we just move 44 in front of 39?
Parts of
No.
44, I think, need to stay where they are.
yeah, I agree.
Actually,
Yeah,
instead of in front of 38 or in front of 39?
sorry, in front of, yeah, in front of,
38.
Of the new 38.
But do we want to make a new 38? That's,
I'd make a new
I
38.
would
that-
agree.
so
Paragraph.
It's just the first two sentences of 44.
and then into the lead in
Yeah, we need to lead into the rest of 44.
39, if we can use the same language, or I would propose using the same language that we did for, that you did, where did you have it? Like accordingly, in the absence of such authority on the issue, the commission is informed by the legislative history of, is again informed by the legislative history of 2000 HB 5107. So you take that sentence kind of in the middle of, I guess, 27.
Just giving her the segue.
37, did you say, or 20?
27.
27, okay.
Where it says,
Just repeating the language that we used in.
accordingly, in the absence of such authority on the issue, the commission is again informed by the legislative history of HB 5107.
So I should highlight, so all of this.
To there.
And then that's your segue into the on pages 31 and 32.
That'll be the beginning of paragraph 39.
Correct.
Yes. Yep.
In that paragraph 39, it must be a typo, but after Trumbull, I think there's a period that should be a comma.
So I mean, this is just copy and pasted
Okay,
from the
from the
document,
transcript.
so.
Yeah.
We're moving on to 40, or do we want to work on 43? Is that all set?
Let's move on. I have a few things on 40.
Are we done with the 39?
Just can you zoom in?
I can't read that, so.
Yeah, commission is formed by the legislature. Yeah, that's fine. And then it's just the quote. Yep, that's fine.
Okay, so moving on to the old 40, which is now the new 42.
Right, we're back to 40.
We're back to
is
40?
40 again? Okay.
The commission finds that Representative Flaherty clearly articulated that the intent of the assisted housing exemption was to facilitate housing developments meeting a level of affordability such that all units within an assisted housing development would be eligible for housing unit equivalent points. This would, for example, require either all units to be restricted for individuals or families who hold government-issued vouchers, or projects receiving financing for the construction of the project, an example, low-income housing tax credit or community development block grants such as HOME.
All right, so just I'm going to make one little, hopefully important clarification. So in the first sentence, where it says assisted housing, clearly articulated that the intent of the assisted housing exemption, delete assisted housing, and then say the intent of the exemption was to facilitate housing developments that, and now this is new text, that were comprised of all or substantially all of the units, A, receiving governmental financial assistance, and B, meeting a level of affordability that such units, so forth and so on.
All right, you lost me after A, receiving.
I'm glad to see you're typing on the fly.
Faster
as
than I
good
do.
as mine.
On the word processor.
Thank God it's not a typo.
Receiving,
Hold on. Yeah, A, receiving government financial assistance, and B.
and B, meeting a level, is that?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Right, because I think we need to make clear that it's the assistance.
Can we see the whole thing, just so we can read
Yeah.
through it for? Finds that the representative authority leader articulated that the intent of the exemption was to facilitate housing developments that were comprised of all or substantially all of the units. A, receiving,
You could say that would receive government.
that would receive government.
Mute yourself, Dan.
Would A, receive government financial assistance, and B, affordability such that all units within housing development would be eligible for housing unit equivalent points.
Right. So the point of the statement is that it's all assisted, meaning it's all getting government money, and that essentially, as I read it, it's all affordable because you get the points too.
Hmm.
And so I
Okay.
think that's what the goal is of the exemption.
I would also
Your
suggest,
final read.
Mr. Chairman, that the word articulated on the first sentence maybe be changed, say stated.
That's fine.
I think it's firmer and more consistent with what Representative Flaherty said.
Can we just do a final read through?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
So, point 40, the commission finds that Representative Flaherty clearly stated that the intent of the exemption was to facilitate housing developments that were comprised of all or substantially all of the units that
Are we doing A?
Yep. A,
Okay.
receive.
isn't it parentheses A?
Eric, what does substantially all mean exactly?
Well, it's a good question. Yeah. In my reading of this, I don't see anything that says, I think you can make an argument that it has to be 100%, every single unit or the entire project has to be entirely assisted by with funds, right?
From the government.
From the government. You could say that, you could look at the others, you could look at subsection L1 of, the 830G statute, you could look at the cases that are in the record. But I don't think in our inquiry, we need to make, I'm not comfortable saying it has to be 100%. Maybe, you know what, substantially, it could be a supers unit. So you did a big project and the super lives in the building. The super's unit is not going to be affordable, right? So like maybe, that's an example of maybe like a live-in sort of thing.
We actually have that in town at the
Right.
schoolhouse apartments.
But the supers unit is an affordable unit, right? So it's not 100% project. So like, obviously that would be okay, as I would see it, right? If they said, okay, well, we have a supers unit.
Thank you.
Sarah, the last part of that paragraph 40, home is a separate program from CDBG.
Okay.
So you could say for community development block grant or home, but shouldn't be such as home.
Comma, right. Or. Okay. So commission finds that Representative Flaherty clearly stated that the intent of the exemption was to facilitate housing developments that were comprised of all or substantially all of the units that either A, received government financial assistance, and B, meeting a level of affordability such.
Not either. It's got to be both.
Right.
A, receive.
A and B, meeting a level of affordability such that all units within the assisted housing development would be eligible for housing unit equivalent points, HUE points. This would, for example, require either all units to be restricted for individuals or families who hold government-issued vouchers, or projects receiving financing for the construction of the project, example, low-income housing tax credit, community development block grant, or HOME.
I think in B, it just, instead of meeting, it should be meet. Just for syntax.
And then I've got one more, very simple one in the second line. in between developments and that were comprised, I think you could just strike that were, and it's just a bit cleaner and has the same read.
Fine. Yep. Also, as Commissioner Chris, at the end, it says, receiving financing, should it be government financing or other, should be an adjective before the word financing?
The whole government issued vouchers or projects receiving.
Government financing.
That's fine.
Should be government.
Yep.
Financing, yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay. I think that wraps up 40.
Excellent.
Okay. 41. The commission finds this interpretation is confirmed by the consistent practice of assisted housing developments throughout the town of New Canaan. For example, over the last 15 years, the town's housing authority has reconstructed and expanded 3 assisted housing developments, growing from 104 outdated and aging assisted units to 213 modern assisted units at 3 sites. All 3 of these developments, Mill Apartments, Millport Apartments, and Canaan Parish, contain 100% affordable units, received government assistance for their construction through programs like HOME or LIHTC, and the Housing Authority must provide annual compliance reports to the funding agencies.
I would delete this
Why?
because I don't think it has anything to do with the exemption.
I agree with that.
That they're
I
acting
agree.
under. I don't think any of these projects use this exemption.
Yeah.
No,
were-
they
They were
didn't.
set aside projects.
Yeah.
Actually,
We're
the state
already-
qualifies them as assisted housing developments and are
You're already taking out the language on the oversight part of it anyway.
counted as
yeah.
assisted or as set aside. And so the state, has their annual report of affordable and assisted units in the state of Connecticut. All of these fall under their assisted housing tab, not under their deed restricted tab. So in the eyes of the state, it is assisted housing.
Okay.
So
Do you know how they came to us?
they came to us
As a set
as,
aside?
no, I mean, they weren't technically set asides because we had an we had a moratorium in place, I think. When was Canaan Parish approved?
Canaan
In
Parish?
2018?
Canaan Parish was approved during the moratorium.
Yeah, so that would have been an assisted housing development. I agree partially with the thought that it's not necessarily fully related to the argument of so my recommendation for including these sorts of numbers in the resolution somewhere is that it should be documented somewhere in here that the town is doing something to further affordable housing and assisted housing. We did not include it in other 830G resolutions, and therefore we were given no credit.
I could look at it now. Is there any, I'm fine with keeping this language or is there anything in Chris Wilson's letter from the Affordable Housing Committee that was, okay, so then keep this.
Okay.
I would consider combining 41 and 42 because I feel like 42 is kind of the conclusion of 41.
Yeah. Okay.
14 proposed units will receive government. Okay, yeah, it's kind of the closing line for that.
But then I wouldn't say necessarily the commission finds. I don't know if this is a finding.
I mean,
the
these
commission
are-
the commission notes, or the commission acknowledges, the consistent practice of this, the commission, notes the consistent practice of assisted housing developments throughout the town of Canaan. There's not really about finding anything there. We're just kind of noting a factual basis.
This is a better word.
Yeah.
I agree.
And so Eric, if we leave this, I assume you want to leave the language back in what was number 38 about consistent practice for assisted housing
Sure.
developments in the town of New Canaan.
Okay, so 42 tags on to the tail end of 41.
Yep.
43 becomes 42.
Do we need that last sentence? At most 5 of the 14 proposed units would receive government assistance.
It's probably redundant.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's necessary.
I think
I would drop it.
Yep.
It's punchier to have that just the conclusion that does not meet these criteria. I think it makes the point more firmly.
Okay, new 42. At the May 26, 2026 public hearing, the commission asked if the applicant could build the project if all 14 units were reserved for voucher holders, so all units would be receiving governmental assistance. The developer and property owner, Richard Friedman of Garden Homes Fund, said, quote, "I could build it, sure. I think it would be poor public policy, and that is not how I would want to see this building occupied with tenants," close quote, in response to the question.
Mr. Chairman, I would just note on the second line, excuse me, all 14 proposed units, again, they are only proposed.
I also have a suggestion. Same at the end of the second line into the third. So all units would be receiving the claimed governmental assistance, because again, you're sort of disputing up above that this even constitutes government assistance. This was, the position that the applicant was taking.
Yep. Agreed. Anything else, commissioners, on 42? Okay, 43, the old 44. At multiple public hearings, the commission asked if the applicant.
No, we moved that.
Move that out. Oh, yeah, that's
Probably
right.
read the one on the screen, maybe,
Do that.
or just get rid of
Try to zoom in.
just the first two sentences.
Whoa. Yeah, there we
Oh, I
go.
didn't realize you had it in front of you.
Yes, I do.
Sorry.
There's no chance I'm reading the screen, the big screen. If the 43, if the commission were to accept the logic of the applicant's argument that partial government assistance covering a minority of the units is sufficient for assisted housing, the results could be diametrically opposed to the intent and spirit of CGS 830G A3 and CGS 830G L2. Under that interpretation, a developer could claim the assisted housing moratorium exemption for a 39-unit development containing 38 market rate units, and a single deed-restricted unit nominally held available for a voucher holder, generating no meaningful affordable housing while bypassing a moratorium earned through decades of municipal investment. The commission remains committed to this creation of 100% affordable projects with long-term affordability submitted through the appropriate application process. The commission finds that this application does not constitute such a project and does not qualify for the moratorium exemption under CGS 830G L2.
So I understand the middle sentence that starts with under, and I get the goal, but I think the example is a little far-fetched. And I don't want to come off as misleading as taking it to the extreme, because I think what is more plausible, and I think what might be more of an issue, is that what we're doing with the moratorium is we're stopping set-aside developments, right? And that somebody comes in and says, and applies for set-aside development, you say, no, I have a moratorium, right? You can't do your 30 apartments of affordable and your 30, 70 and 70 of market rate. But under this application, if I come in with a project that has 30 units of assisted housing and then 70 of market rate, I could do that right now under their interpretation. And so the moratorium you've done to stop set-aside developments can then just be popped right through with a set-aside development. So I have kind of like language that I was toying with, but that kind of makes that argument, because the 1 unit thing, like, okay, like somebody really going to do 1 unit, is that plausible? I mean, maybe, but it seems extreme. But something like under that interpretation, a 39-unit development with less than the required number of affordable units for an 830G set-aside development could be deemed allowable if those set-aside units receive governmental financial assistance, despite a municipality obtaining a certification for an 830G moratorium to limit those very developments. So I think the example, right, maybe we wordsmith it, but concept is like, it's not a one affordable unit, but it's an 830G. We stopped 830G projects. But now if an 830G project comes in, so long as those 30 get financial assistance, the other 70 market rate come along. And that seems more plausible to me based on just the tenor of things and the way that, development economics work and what might be supportable in, a court sort of thing. So I don't know, but that would be my.
I'm fine with changing the example we use. I think that the legislative record indicates the intent of the exemption is not just smaller projects, like under 40 units, but also those that use government assistance to create wider and deeper levels of affordability, deeper meaning more affordable. And I think the applicant agreed to that part at least, and wider meaning more units, that deeper meaning more deeply affordable, like lower levels of affordability, and wider meaning a higher number of units.
So would it be acceptable to change just the metrics of the example, for a 30,
Yeah.
because again, we're going to below 40 units.
Right, so 39.
So do
units
39
fine.
units where 12 are affordable and the rest are market rate.
Yeah, you could just do 30% affordable and 70% market rate.
That's
if you
fine.
wanna
Yeah,
not
do
have
it
to
that way.
math.
But I would just kind of make clear, like a typical set aside development would then be permitted, even though we just got a moratorium to stop set aside development.
Right.
I think that's the message I'm trying to convey. So I don't-
Right, did you have wording?
Containing
under that interpretation,
70% market rate units.
could containing 70% market rate units, i.e. And
And then 30%
30%
affordable, i.e. a deed restricted.
a deed restricted.
And 30% assisted, you mean 30% assisted units?
Yes, 30% assisted units.
Should the
i.e.
comment,
deed restricted.
Set aside.
Yeah.
Oh.
Same affordability as set aside.
should the commentary from Representative Flaherty that's appropriate for this argument be inserted, maybe a selection? Supportive commentary?
That we already said, that we already stated,
Yeah.
like restating it?
I think this is us talking.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think
And
this is
that
our
this is our
interpretation,
concern
the Implication.
Wait,
as an eight.
Assisted units held available for voucher holders.
Exemption.
deed restricted.
Could be deemed allowable despite the town obtaining an 830G moratorium to limit those very developments.
So are we deleting the rest of?
I think so. Unless you saw one.
Like delete all of that,
No, I would
No.
keep the, no. I
No.
would keep the commission remaining.
Just to the end of municipal investment.
generating to investment.
Yeah, can you repeat what you just said, Eric?
Deed restricted.
Assisted the restricted units have a holder could be deemed, right?
So where am I starting? Could?
Let's see.
After the parentheses?
Under a developer claim assistant housing moratorium exemption for
Should another paragraph.
or which would be deemed allowable despite the town obtaining an 830G moratorium. To limit those very type of developments or something like that, to limit those types of developments. Those very developments.
To limit very type of.
But yes, I'm fine with that language, but I think we might need to go on and say something because it's not just, I mean, yes, it is in part the fact that only 30% of those units are affordable. But it sounds here like you're saying, oh, well, this, just because it's smaller, the developer saying because it's smaller, it would be okay because it's under 40 as opposed to over 40.
Mhm.
And I think the issue is that just because it's under 40, that same level of affordability, there's a higher requirement if you're going under 40 units in terms of
Mhm.
affordability.
Right.
Under this subsection.
Well, it's not just under 40 to bypass the moratorium.
Under the
Right.
subsection.
There's a higher standard.
Higher bar.
Do we feel like that sufficiently says that?
Let's see what it says again. The commission or to accept the logic. of the partial.
I think it does.
Okay. I am concerned about, well, this is my personal concern about the next sentence saying that we're committed to the creation of 100% affordable projects. I know we do 100% affordable projects. I don't personally think that that's the best policy all the time.
Yeah, I don't think that we have to memorialize it here as being a strict policy.
Right, yeah, I'm just worried that like, what if at
Yeah,
some point the town
agreed.
does
Or
a mixed income?
The commission remains committed to the creation of long-term affordability submitted through the appropriate.
Yeah.
application
Yeah,
process.
yeah, just delete the part about 100%.
I will quote
Yep.
something in the POCD.
Committed to the
which does say
creation
that.
of long-term affordability.
It does say it?
Well, says we're support
Oh,
diverse
long-term.
housing.
You have it
Yeah.
already.
We could use.
Just
that
delete the next,
language.
delete,
Just language.
delete the next 5 words or 3 words.
The commission remains committed to,
Take out affordable projects with.
And then, I don't know if we can use it.
Should that sentence be in a separate paragraph, the commission?
Yep, that's it.
I don't know.
I like it here because what we're saying is, one, it's not like we're against affordability. We're against this threat of interpreting it in such a way where
Yeah, I think
there's too much market rate coming in. like-
long-term and deep affordability.
Yeah. Long-term.
Because this isn't, the 30% is not deep affordability or wide affordability. Which one did you say?
Do we have to get that specific?
I mean, I thought that addressed Commissioner
Housing
Nielsen's
affordability.
comment. Because it's not
That's-
just about the,
Housing.
it's,
Committed to,
because long-term is the number of years, not the percentage.
right,
So like, we're not talking about 40-year deed restriction, 100-year deed restriction in this paragraph. We're talking about the percentage of
units,
affordable.
yeah, the number of units. To me, that's the wide, and then the deep is how deeply affordable you're getting,
Yeah.
60%, 40%.
How about the creation of
The
broad
affordable-
housing affordability?
Long-term, wait, so the commission remains committed to the creation of deeply affordable housing developments submitted through the appropriate application process.
Do we have to be committal on that?
Remain
Why can't it
supportive.
just be generally stated affordable, long-term affordability? Or
Because
just the creation of affordable units?
Because our issue with this is not about the length of affordability. Our issue with this is about the wideness of
Amount.
affordability.
like long-term is not the appropriate word. We're
Right.
not talking about time here.
We're talking about number of units,
You know. I get it.
percentage of
How about this?
creation
How about-
of
how about this? The
Oh.
commission.
highly affordable.
Highly
Commission remains supportive to the creation of housing affordability, including deeply affordable housing submitted through the.
But it's also not just the depth of, depth is the income range. It's the number of units that we're talking about. Committed to the creation.
Increased affordability.
What if it's just the commission remains
I think we're trying
supportive
to- I think we're trying
of
to,
assisted housing developments? The commission finds that this application does not constitute such a project.
I think simplify it.
simplify it, yeah.
Remains supportive
Broad housing affordability.
supportive of the creation of assisted housing developments submitted through the appropriate application process.
Agreed.
Like that.
And then I think just to go back, I'll let you type it in. That the which after the parents, I think is not correct. I think that's good. Yeah.
You want to read it out loud again, Dan, make
Yep.
sure it makes sense?
Yes.
Yep.
Need a space in front of the commission remains supportive. Okay, point 43. If the commission were to accept the logic of the applicant's argument that the partial government assistance covering a minority of the units is sufficient for assisted housing, The results would be diametrically opposed to the intent and spirit of CGS 830G-A3 and CGS 830G-L2. Under that interpretation, a developer could claim the assisted housing moratorium exemption for a 39-unit development containing 70% market rate units and 30% assisted units. An example, the same affordability as a set-aside development, would be deemed allowable despite the town obtaining a CGS 830G moratorium to limit those very types of developments. Right? The commission remains supportive of the creation of assisted housing developments submitted through the appropriate application process. The commission finds that this application does not constitute such a project and does not qualify for the moratorium exemption under CGS 830G-L2. Yeah, that works.
Okay. That's a quick break before we go to denial.
Yeah. Sure. 5-minute break, everyone. Okay. All right. Move into denial reasons. Point 45. Is it 45 now or 44?
44.
I assume. There it is. Okay, 44. The commission finds that the proposed development does not constitute assisted housing for the following reasons. The sales and use tax exemption obtained by the applicant under CGS 12-412 subsection 29 through Form Reg 19 does not constitute governmental assistance under CGS 830G-A3 as set forth in paragraphs 26 through 30 of this resolution.
You might just want to check.
We'll highlight that to
Yeah.
confirm that tomorrow. Yeah.
Government, financial, just
Financial assistance. Yeah.
Government, finance.
Okay.
The applicant has not subpoint B. The applicant has not demonstrated that governmental rental assistance is real, present, or committed to any unit at 30 Parade Hill Road. No authorized governmental entity has made a binding commitment to provide rental assistance to this development. The housing collective lacks legal authority to commit vouchers. No housing assistance payment contract has been executed. The memorandum of understanding is not legally binding by the applicant's own counsel's admission, as set forth in paragraphs 30 through 35 of this resolution. Again, check those numbers. The voucher claim is speculative, contingent, and unsupported by any binding governmental commitment.
Mr. Chairman, just one thing on that. Should we, at the very beginning of B, any unit at the applicant's proposed development at 30 Parade Hill Road would be a little clearer. That's acceptable.
sorry, so where was that?
So to be the second line on B, to
Added
any
it.
unit at the applicant's proposed development at 30 Parade Hill Road.
Subpoint C, even if rental assistance claim could constitute governmental assistance, that assistance extends to at most 5 of the 14 proposed units. The commission finds that a development in which 64% of units receive no governmental assistance of any kind does not constitute an assisted housing development as contemplated by CGS 830G-A3 and the legislative history set forth in paragraphs, and you'll check those numbers, 36 through 42 of this resolution.
Instead of contemplated, I would say defined.
Defined, yeah.
That's right,
better.
word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Subpoint 40, the new 45. The town of New Canaan has an active certificate for housing completion valid through August 27th, 2028 on file with CTDOH. Because the commission has found that the development does not meet the definition for assisted housing outlined in the 830G language, the application does not qualify for the moratorium exemption under 830G L2. Accordingly, this site plan application is subject to the town's active moratorium and therefore is denied. Point 46. Since the commission has found that this application does not qualify as assisted housing under CGS 830G A3 and does not meet the moratorium exemption under 830G L2, the burden shifted standard of 830G G does not apply to this application. The commission therefore did not apply the review standards of 830G G LA, which require that is that LA or 1A?
1A, I believe.
1A, did not review the standards of 830G subsection G1A, which require that a denial or the imposition of conditions be necessary to protect substantial public interest in health for valid reasons. The denial is based solely on the applicant's failure to satisfy the threshold requirements for assisted housing status and moratorium exemption.
Can I just ask Nick, since he's on the line, you're comfortable with this paragraph?
I am, particularly since there's a reference in the next paragraph to generally at least what the underlying defects with the threshold requirements are. I think we cover the bases here.
Okay.
Okay. Next section, 47, final section or final point. 30 Parade Hill Road is located partially in the B residence zone and partially in the half-acre zone. Permitted uses include single-family and two-family structures. The proposed 14-unit structure does not comply with use, building setback, building coverage, or building height requirements of both underlying zones as described in paragraph 9 of this resolution. As described in the preceding resolution, the commission has found that the development is not assisted housing, and this application is therefore denied because it does not conform with applicable zoning requirements. Therefore, for the reasons stated above, which the commission adopts as a collective basis for its action, the commission will vote to adopt the following resolution. Resolved, the site plan application submitted as part of an assisted housing development application pursuant to 830G of the Connecticut General Statutes is hereby denied in accordance with the findings and reasons set forth above. Commissioners, any further comments or changes or clarifications?
Is it an assisted housing development application or an affordable housing development?
I mean, they claim it's an assisted housing.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure the terminology is because we're.
Yeah, I think it's assisted.
Okay, yep.
Anything further, commissioners?
Not for me, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Do we have to motion for this?
Second.
Do the same. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution on this application, which is a denial,
Which was just read into the record.
which we just read into the record?
Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Chris. I so move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Engel is second. Okay. Call to vote. Dan Radman, the yes is an approval of the denial resolution, to be clear.
Yes, is to deny.
The motion is to deny.
The motion is to deny. Dan Radman, I vote yes. Krista Nielsen,
Yes.
John Chris,
Yes.
John Engel,
Yes.
Alan Swerdlow,
Yes.
Tom Benton,
Yes.
Eric Knowles,
Yes.
Megan Mensching,
Yes.
Bill Pratt.
Yes.
This application is hereby denied. Thank you. All right, everyone.
You got Benton's vote?
What?
You got Benton's vote?
Yeah.
Don't pack up yet,
We
folks.
have a couple more
We
things.
have more things.
We're not done yet. Administrative actions. So
So After the last public hearing on June 2nd, we received some public comment and commissioner feedback that everyone wants to adopt a second conservation and traffic mitigation zone to maximize 8%. So myself and our GIS consultant have been at work to come up with our best path forward to get as much of the 8% as possible. We are able to get a vast majority of the sewer district in all 8%. We cannot get all of it. So I have two options of how we could go about splitting the baby, for, not a better term. So option A and B, which are posted online, I can share my screen if helpful, or if everyone just wants to look at it on their own device.
Share the screen.
Okay, so we will start with option A. If I can get everything to load.
Ms. Curie, a question. At the last hearing, I know there were some comments from the public that there are certain sections of the current zone that may be removed. In other words, they're never going to be developed
Yep.
anyway, which can create some additional
So I'll get
real
into
estate.
that.
Is that
Yep.
incorporated into this proposal, ma'am?
Yes, so we removed all town-owned parcels. With the caveat of, I noticed this morning, the consultant forgot to remove the Avalon property, so that will add a little bit. But option A, so basically the blue
Looks like
is,
Kiwanis is not removed either.
no, Kiwanis is completely removed.
Where?
And Kiwanis,
Missing it?
like, really far away from,
Kiwanis there.
Is that it?
Yeah, I think that's Kiwanis, that green one.
Kiwanis is not in the sewer district.
Yeah, that's it. No.
Um,
It's that green patch right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
so blue is our north zone, brown is our south zone.
Mhm.
The black boxes, some are incorporated in this district, some are not. The black boxes are lots that are not connected to sewer, but have the capability to connect to the sewer potentially. So I just asked that we tracked how many properties on septic or just vacant lots are now in the zone. So that's what the black boxes mean. And for example, like parking lots aren't connected to sewer. So there are some town-owned black boxes. But so what in option A that was removed from the district was, so essentially there's a housing bill that was on the books this past legislative session that did not get approved, but apparently it may get put on the books again next legislative session, which basically would remove minimum lot sizes for single family homes in the sewer district if they're connected to sewer. So basically minimum lot size for all single family homes in the sewer district would be 5,000 square feet. So
Isn't that below what's our minimum now?
well, it depends on what zone you're in. We have 1 acre, we have like 7,500. But
It's smaller than B-Res.
correct. But of bigger concern is south of the Y, we have 1 acre zoning in the sewer district.
Mm.
So this
know.
strategy ensures that every single lot in the sewer district that's over half an acre in size is in a zone. So that results in essentially Grace Street, which is across from South School or next to South School, across from the high school, and parts of Village Drive and Farm Road being excluded from this. And they were chosen because geographically, they are the furthest from the train station. So in theory, the market would, I mean, realistically, I personally think anywhere in these further zones, the market's going to demand that these houses at least have driveways, which would mean that you'd be able to fit 2 cars, which is all we can require anyway. But that was the rationale for option A. So include every lot that's over half an acre in size that's in the sewer district, and then exclude lots that are furthest from the train station that are less than half an acre in size up until we hit that 8%.
One other question, Ms. Curie, are there any properties within these proposed zones that have conservation easements? For example, they're owned by the land trust, where I would have to assume that they are going to be exempt, that we can generate some additional space.
Likely not in this downtown older area. I mean, all of these lots were subdivided long before we had conservation requirements. Most of these subdivisions are 1950s and earlier.
Okay.
We also don't have reliable data for that, unfortunately, if it predates this century, basically.
Well, I would assume that if the for example, there may be other conservation easements that are more obscure, but anything that's owned or has an easement by the land trust, they would know about, and you could just ask them. There may be zero, I don't know, I'm just posing the question because it would generate a little extra space. And I'm looking to maximize the space.
And I mean, I guess the question for the commission is time. If you're okay waiting a little longer for me to try to dig up that information, we can do that. But if there's an urgency of getting this 8% adopted as soon as possible, I wouldn't recommend trying to dig around to maybe save a couple acres on conservation easements that may or may not exist.
Okay, fair enough.
And we can always revisit this later.
So this is option A. Any questions on option A before I go to option B?
Scroll down a little bit.
So yeah, this is a good point. So this down here, I don't know if you can see my mouse. This is the gas station that's owned by the state on the Merritt Parkway. That is apparently connected to sewer. So, I mean, that would save us some acreage if we excluded it. I don't know if it makes the commission feel better or worse that it's owned by the state.
Can you remind me again, this is a traffic mitigation zone for multifamily projects up to.
No, so it's basically the state now says we cannot require parking for any residential development under 17 units is what the language is going to be. So technically we can't require parking for single family homes anywhere if we're getting really in the weeds of it. But these zones allow you to require it.
I see.
Can't the state override local zoning on their own property?
I would think so.
Yeah.
I would think so.
Okay, so exclude that.
I would exclude that for sure.
Same for any federal property. I mean, like
we don't have any federal, but
it's not like
okay.
But yeah, any state-owned property they can.
Okay, so exclude the gas station.
And the rest of that brown area.
It's a DOT
That's
property.
existing sewer connection.
It's north of the Merritt. It's a DOT property. They have like
no,
trucks
so
and salt guys.
that probably saves us. I'll have to talk to the consultant a little bit more, but that may save us a couple more lots because we were trying to stay contiguous. So we may get even more acres back.
Okay.
For that.
So the rest of the area in Brown Hatch, right above the state gas station, whatever, that's all existing sewer connection?
Some of them are. I mean,
Except
I can
for the
show
black
you.
ones.
Except for the two black ones.
If you want to look at this map, I can pass it down. All the green lots are connected to the sewer. So what's down here? Would you like me to go to option B?
In a second. So all
the way at the bottom.
Yeah. So all of those are connected. So the majority of that, which you're showing. Okay. So there's a couple more we can pick up in there that are connected that are not shown on this map. Okay. Okay, let's see the option B.
Option B, essentially the same, except, because the policy question for you all is, do you want to plan for a bill that does not exist? So if we put aside that potential bill that would get rid of, single family minimum lot sizes in sewer districts in the future, because it's not actually law, and we're speculating that it will be back. taking away that, okay, let's make sure all of the big lots in the sewer district are in these traffic mitigation zones. It instead just removes the lots that are geographically the furthest from the train station. Again, for the same reason, because in theory, the market would demand that you need to provide parking because you don't have access to transit. So essentially, it just removes
A few lots down
few
at the
lots
tail end there. Yeah, I think this one, with that applied logic, makes more sense. Because that also, scrolling back up. Yeah, in that zone,
it gets rid of the gas station as discussed, and
yeah. But it brings back some of those pieces of property that are around South School that were omitted in the previous version.
Yep.
And then why the small pocket of houses on Kelly Green, and
they are not connected to the sewer.
they're not connected to sewer?
The town, there have been many discussions about it. I've been a part of a few of them.
Yeah.
But they don't have sewer access right now.
Mhm.
A lot of things would have to happen for them to get sewer access.
Can you scroll up?
And so again, the consultant accidentally included the Avalon property, so I will have that removed,
Okay.
which will gain us back more.
Uh-huh. Yeah, this seems to make more sense. This one makes more sense.
Okay, option B.
Commissioners, any opinions, questions between the two maps?
Okay, so do we want to mull it over for a month, or do you want me to prepare to have the public hearing next month?
I'm good with going to public hearing for next month. Especially understanding that even if we adopt this particular version, 3 months down the line, if we need to modify it, we can do that. I say we go with option B and get it voted on next month. Agreed?
Avalon. Okay.
Okay. 2 more items, right?
Yep.
Change of
so-
use application.
So with the regulations that we just adopted, we have a new process now that has never existed before where staff is approving commercial changes of use. So I've created a new application, and we haven't created a new application in a long time. And I dug through records, and in the past, the commission always reviews any administrative applications that, like the forms themselves, before staff implements them, just because at the end of the day, we are enforcing your regulations and we want to make sure we're on the same page about how we're enforcing them. So I've created a change of use application for commercial properties. I don't have to go through a whole application. I know we're tired, but this is our online permitting system. You guys don't see this, but this is what the applicants always deal with. So we now have commercial change of use. I can walk you through a whole application, or if commissioners on their own time, you could submit one for your own property and then I can go in and delete it. So there's, never, like, it doesn't randomly say that, at 12 Farm Road, Tom Benton submitted a change of use application on his, residential property, but, I can demo it now for you guys, or if anyone who's particularly interested in it wants to just go through it themselves.
I think we can look at it ourselves. I mean, the gist of it is to take a little bit more off our plate and leave it at the administrative level so that
Yep.
Sarah can approve these uses that are already allowed uses within the zone, but getting rid of the additional red tape.
Yep.
Send it to practitioners, right? So they can just give your feedback, because they're the ones who are going to be using it for like, I'd be interested to know now that this is passed. I don't know, find a handful or half a dozen of the people who you see the most in downtown applications and let them know if they have what their concerns are and comments are, and you can
Yeah,
either
so-
adopt them or not adopt them.
I mean, I'm looking for
That's administrative
feedback more
method.
from the commission to make sure that I'm asking all the information you want applicants to be asked. I can on the back end tweak things for practitioners as needed. Like we demo for userability in a different process. Like this is for the commission to make sure that you are comfortable with what questions staff is asking of the applicants to approve applications that you previously approved, not our practitioners okay with the questions I'm asking them.
Yeah, but I guess is there like a threshold that, because like and forgive me, I can't remember. Does anything send it to us, or is it this only in
This
your
is only
purview?
going to me.
I mean, okay. I mean, I defer to you. That's kind of the whole point of what we did was that this is now in your purview to make the decision.
No,
but-
and again, it's just, we're creating a new application form. In the past, the commission has always approved that application form before staff has gone and implemented it. So it's,
Okay.
this doesn't need to be some, complicated technical process for the commission. It's just, okay, I've created this new application because of these new regulations. Does the commission have any concerns? If not, great, I'll move on and implement the process.
Would this need to be, as Commissioner Chris, would this need to be formally voted on by the
No.
commission?
No.
What I would suggest perhaps, Mr. Chairman, is that Ms. Curie just send a link to everyone on the commission.
Mhm.
We look at it and we liaise with her directly. To the extent there's a wide range of views, she would bring it back to the commission for discussion,
I agree.
if that's agreeable.
Totally agree.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Parking needs assessment.
Yeah, so I was hoping to have something ready for tonight. I don't have it ready for tonight, but obviously we have these new parking needs assessment reviews that the commission may be doing, staff may be doing for changes of use and for mixed use developments if we start to get any. And I was thinking it would be helpful for the commission and staff if we had some sort of review sheet that just made it clear for applicants and, the approvers of the applications, what we're reviewing for against what criteria, just to make it a clear, transparent process for everyone. I just don't have that document ready.
Meeting minutes. Does anyone have any comments, changes, corrections to the meeting minutes from last month's meeting? Okay. Show of hands on the approval of the meeting minutes. So approved. Thank you, everyone. Meeting adjourned.